Guys, pasensya kayo. Karon pa magduminahon sa akong klase sa PE. Di ba? Natay plano magamag organization. Kabalo na ko ang sa itong unang abuhaton.
Unsa man?
Mag-draft ta og CPL.
Saan pag-draft sa CPL?
Pangayon tarong sa si Sir Campoy.
Sige, iasa lang ako si Gabi na mau imong producer for a proper interview.
Tala, tungad doon si Gabi.
Tala.
Hala.
Gabi! Ikaw daw mo yung approach ni Sir Campoy para sa CPL. Sige.
Sir, good morning. Could you tell us how to draft a constitution and bylaws of an organization?
Sure. In the shibboleth of a customary organization, first, you have to write the preamble, the name and purpose of the organization. Next, the rules on membership, meetings, and officers shall also be included. Then write the rules on elections, committees, and bylaws. Consequently, write the rules on amendments, ratification, and interpretation.
Next, what are the important parts of a constitution and bylaws, sir?
Not a formal part, but preliminary to the constitution and bylaws of an organization is the preamble, which may come first, no? And an organization's constitution may include selections and or sections on membership, dues, officers, duties, committees, and more. Membership selection requirements, resignation procedures, expulsion procedures, and rights and duties of members. So the amount of dues, collection procedures, special fees, and when dues are payable, officers' duties, powers, and responsibilities of officers, job descriptions, procedures, for instance, for filing and expired terms of office, and removal from office. Committees may include standing committees, special committees, and others. You may ask how committees are formed. Well, we have the chairpersons and members on them. There are meeting schedules, powers, and duties of committees and other sections, order of business, parliamentary authority, amendment procedures, and policies and procedures which are deemed unique to the organization. Secondly, a constitution should also outline the organization's purpose, work, and how the work will be carried out. So, when we distinguish constitution from bylaws, you have to think of that the constitution of an organization contains the fundamental principles that govern its operation. The bylaws establish the specific rules of guidance by which the group is to function. All but the most informal groups should have their basic structure and methods of operation in writing. There are materials needed, we have the purposes, no? What should be covered by a constitution. So, we include Article 1, organization and name and purpose. 2, membership and eligibility and selection. 3, officers, their titles, terms of office, how and when elected. 4, meetings, which includes frequency, special meetings, who calls them, and others. 5, right to assess dues. 6, we have amendment process, which means a proposal, notice required, and in addition, you may add articles for, say, 7, affiliation with other groups, could either be local, state, or national. Then advisor, the term of office, how is he or she is selected, and quorum, no? The number of members required to transact business, and we have also this referendum and recall as forming an integral part of the procedures.
To lay this interview out, can you please tell us how to approve a constitution of an organization based on your experience as a leader?
Okay, sure. To approve an organization's constitution, typically a majority vote of the eligible members present at a designated meeting is required. Where the proposed constitution is presented, discussed, and voted upon, depending on the organization. A higher majority, like 2/3, may be necessary for approval. I may suggest the approval process shall include the following. 1. Drafting the Constitution. A committee or designated individuals within the organization should create a comprehensive constitution outlining the organization's purpose, structure, membership requirements, officers' roles, voting procedures, and amendment process. 2. Dissemination and review. Distribute the draft constitution to all eligible members well in advance of the approval meeting to allow for review and feedback. 3. Calling a meeting. Convene a formal meeting where the constitution will be presented and discussed openly. 4. Discussion and amendments. Members should have the opportunity to ask questions, raise concerns, and propose amendments to the Constitution during the meeting. Then we have the voting procedure, the quorum requirement, which ensures a sufficient number of eligible members who are present to constitute a quorum for the vote to be valid. Then 7, it has to be exemplified that you decide whether the vote will be by a simple majority or a super majority, such as 2/3 perhaps, or another specified voting method. And then we have this ratification. Once approved by the required majority vote, the Constitution is considered ratified and becomes the official governing document of the organization. You may ask, what are the significant considerations in this matter? One is legal compliance. Check if any local or state laws or regulations apply to the formation of organizations and their constitutions. Another is accessibility. Ensure the Constitution is written in clear and understandable language and is accessible to all members. Then, the amendment process, which includes a clear procedure for amending the Constitution in the future. And that would be all.
Thank you, sir.
Greetings, everyone. I am now calling this first ever meeting to order. May I call the secretary to commence roll call?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will now commence roll call. Ms. Ongmo,
Here.
Ms. Garcesa,
Here.
Mr. Recamara, Ms. Dake, Ms. Carrion,
Here.
Mr. Kilaton, Mr. Hibone. A quorum has been made, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. You may take your seat. This meeting will follow the parliamentary procedure as we vote and approve our constitution and bylaws of our organization. May I request that everyone be respectful and orderly during our discussion. The first item in our agenda is the approval of our CBL. In your hands is the draft of our constitution and bylaws, and please do read before we proceed. Would the Secretary kindly read the key provisions of the document?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will now read the key provisions of the Constitution and bylaws. Article 1. This section outlines the official name of organization, which is Red Reform. Article 2. Outlines the purpose of the organization. Article 3. Details the requirements for membership, including eligibility, rights, and responsibilities. Article 4. The structure of the governing body, including the rules of officers and board members. Article 5 specifies the frequency and procedures for meetings, quorum, and voting. Article 6 outlines the process for amending the Constitution and bylaws.
Thank you, Ms. Secretary. You may take your seat. We will now entertain any motions or discussion about the approval of our Constitution and bylaws. Is there any motion? Yes, Ms. Carrion.
I move to discuss the individual articles and provisions of the Constitution and bylaws as presented.
A motion has been made to discuss the individual articles and provision of our Constitution and bylaws. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
The motion to discuss the individual articles and provisions of our Constitution and bylaws has been seconded. Now we will open the floor for any discussions. The motion passes. The Article 1 of the Constitution and bylaws of the Red Reform is now approved. The motion passes. The Article 2, which outlines the purpose of the Red Reform, is now approved. Moving on to the new business, the discussion of the provisions in Article 3, membership. Are there any motions?
Mr. Chair,
You're recognized.
I have a question regarding to Article 3, membership, specifically Section 1, that states that the requirement for a minimum of 1 year of continuous membership for voting rights are granted. Could we consider reducing this time for 6 months?
Thank you for your question, Ms. Ongmong. Would anyone like to make an amendment to that clause in Article 3?
Mr. Chair, I move to amend the Article 3, Section 1 to change the minimum required membership time for voting rights from 1 year to 6 months.
I second the motion.
A motion has been made and properly seconded regarding Article 3, Section 1. Is there any discussion regarding this clause?
Mr. Chair, I do believe that 6 months is a reasonable time frame as it allows the members to be more familiar with the organization. I therefore support the amendment.
I disagree. I think 1 year is more appropriate so that we can assure that the members are committed and they have a strong understanding about the organization's goals and responsibilities.
We will now proceed to a vote on the amendment to Article 3, Section 1. All those in favor? The amendment passes. The minimum membership requirement time for voting rights is now 6 months. Let us now read and discuss the provisions on Article 4 entitled Governance, which includes the structure of the governing body and the roles of the official members and the board. The floor is now open for any motion.
Mr. Chair, may I be recognized?
You are recognized.
I move that we take a 10 minutes recess.
Anyone would like to second the motion?
I second the motion.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we take a 10-minute recess. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of taking a 10-minute recess, please raise your hand. Motion passes. We are now in recess for 10 minutes. The meeting will now come back to order. Let us now discuss Article 4, Governance, the structure of the governing body, including the roles of officers and board members. Are there any motions regarding the reading of Article 4?
Mr. Chair, I move to object the motion. Section 5 of the Article 4, the Treasurer shall take the duty of the auditor in case of absence.
On what grounds, Ms. Dake?
I beg to disagree with taking the duty of auditor in his absence. It is unfair on my side, given that it will double my work.
Mr. Chair, my excuse for that is I am a working student.
Amaw di ay, mo na nga rason. Maruang nimo.
Nga nung ako, bali na po na karason.
Kung kiri ka ganyahan nga gahinan na oras sa mong trabaho, nga nang napil pa man ka.
Taysa, nga nung ako nga ikaw may suggest nga ibutang na kay gusto kag ng trabaho.
Nakadungo pa sa imong kagalingon. Ako ang treasurer, nga nang mong trabaho.
Order in the meeting. This is a parliamentary session, not a shouting match. Treasurer, auditor, nangunsa man mo. Take your seats.
If we cannot maintain a level of decorum, I will have no choice but to adjourn this meeting. I ask both of you to respect the process. Now, if you may please continue on the amendment vote, And let me remind you, personal attacks and inflammatory remarks will not be tolerated. Now, let us proceed on amending Section 5 of Article 4. The motion passes to approve Article 5 meetings, specifies the frequency and procedures of meetings, quorum and voting is now approved. The motion passes to approve Article 6, which outlines amendments, the processes for amending the Constitution and bylaws of the Organization of the Red Reform is now approved.
Mr. Chair,
You are recognized.
I move to approve the Constitution and bylaws as amended. I second the motion.
Motion has been made and properly seconded to approve the Constitution and bylaws of the Red Reform as amended. All of those in favor of approving the Constitution and bylaws, please raise your hand. This concludes the agenda item for this meeting. Would anyone like to bring any topics or discussions to the floor?
Mr. Chair,
You are recognized.
I move to adjourn the meeting. I second the motion.
All of those in favor of adjourning this meeting, please raise your hand. The motion passes. This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you for your participation.